Welcome back. Another episode of the Dialed and Driven Hockey Mentality Podcast. Chris Palmer, mental performance coach, Jeff Lerg, goalie mentors, former professional hockey player. Like we talked about before, every single week we're going to be talking about things that matter to you. Parents, kids, spouses, friends, everybody around hockey. There's big dreams and hopes, and we work on those every week. And this week, we're going to talk about something that's incredibly painful. I hear it all the time in sessions when I talk to people. Politics, politics, politics. We're going to talk about the politics game. Jeff, do you want to start us out?
Hey, really, we've touched on this a handful of times on the reality of sports, that those that consistently produce results will be seen. They will find their way up to that next layer. But there's the majority of people who can't be the best on the team, right? And there's only one person or one athlete, one player who can be the best, or that small percentage of each team. So it becomes the next layer of kind of the standard or average caliber player on a team, where some of these politics can come into play. And in the people business, hockey, it's a team sport. There's coaches, there's assistant coaches, there's team managers. All those people come into play with what the culture of the team is, and potentially who's on the team, who didn't make the team, maybe even who's their next door neighbor and they got a son that plays and somehow he finds his way onto the team. So those are small examples. We'll have some more, but there is a political aspect of not just hockey, but other team sports where people's decisions can play a major factor in how that team or certain athlete is getting a good opportunity.
Yeah, so let's really define this. And let me say this in the language that I hear it. I can't believe the effing politics I have on my team. That damn coach, blah, blah, blah. That damn manager, blah, blah, blah. This guy's this buddy. This guy's getting money, all kinds of things. This stuff feels so real. And sometimes it is. I'd say there's a decent percentage of the time this definitely happens. We'll talk about that more. But there's also times when it's not happening, when you just love your kids so much, or you believe in yourself so much that you think you're actually better than you are, or your kid thinks that he should have this, or you think it should be a certain thing. It's really, really easy to get stuck in this thing that when your kid doesn't get opportunities, that you think it's the coach, you think it's politics. And sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And we're going to talk about both today. But let's dive into this thing that in the end, what you think is reality. What you think is what affects everything. Your thoughts affect your feelings all the time. And if you're a mom or a dad who thinks your kid is the next god of hockey, if you can't see it for reality, you're sticking yourself in a bad position. It's going to be an implosion. And it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. But in the end, both things happen. Jeff, do you want to talk about any time when you saw true politics in the worst way, without names, of course?
Yeah, one of the things I've learned just from operating a hockey club and then being a goalie coach for almost 20 years and being involved in youth mentoring is that when it comes to your own kid, parents don't always make the best decisions with the bigger picture. Many parents might look back and regret some of their decisions when they only have kind of a driving force with their kid in mind. And there's many times kids can, they'll come to realize that something could be going on, or if they don't, there's kids who are on teams because their parent is paying for them to be on the team, whether they're paying the coach directly for the coach's better benefit or whether they're paying the coach to disperse funds to other people on the team. This money guy is unfortunately more and more common nationally in our sport, and in that it doesn't stop at the youth level. The scary part is a money guy toward a team can work his way into the junior level. There's a handful of USHL teams, America's top junior league in the country, that are owned by a former youth hockey parent. And somehow their son gets drafted by the team and he's playing for the team. And before you know it, that franchise is sold when that son is old enough to be in the college landscape. And the even scarier part is now with the NIL deals in college sports, now a donor can donate toward a team or program, and then magically somehow this player who was fairly average on a junior hockey team is playing for prominent Division I school, or he's at least rostered there. And so there's only one way to fight back against that if you're not the vast majority of athletes in that path. And the only way to fight against it is to be overwhelmingly awesome and overcome all the politics.
Well, I mean, you're so right. This is everywhere. Look at everything that really matters in life. Anything that people really, really, really care about tremendously. There's just things that happen. There's bad choices. There's buddy deals. There's money deals. There's corruption. Look in our own government. There's so many things. When there is tremendous money, power, or opportunity, the worst behavior can come out in human beings. You talked about this happens even in juniors. This happens in professional hockey. Now, I've never heard of it in the NHL, because in the NHL, they have to win. These are millions, billions of dollars involved. They want the best of the best. But in kind of every other step going toward there, these are businesses, and they're businesses that struggle. If you look at the juniors landscape, juniors exist in all these small towns all around North America, and that's the sports entertainment there. They don't have big teams typically. That's their entertainment, and they struggle to make a profit. And if there's an opportunity to get some money here, some money there, that opens up a lot of doors. In Sweden, which I always thought was this amazingly kind of pure place for hockey, I've worked with guys in juniors who struggle so badly because they've seen a sponsor come in and magically his nephew is playing on the team even though he's awful. So this stuff happens. But there's good news, and the good news is that at some point, if you make peace with this, there's actual opportunity. I'd say there's roughly 70% pure opportunity in everything. Because if you're good enough, people can't ignore you. And they want to win games, and winning games attracts people.
Yeah, another flashback from my many years of playing you just gave me, talking about Sweden and kind of those minor pro ranks. When I was mid-20s, I got married. And 2 months after that, we moved to Italy to play for the Pro League in Italy, Serie A Pro League. So I played in Asiago, Italy. It's the town where the cheese is produced, Asiago cheese. So like right out our back window, there was fields and cows and all that. And it's up in the mountains in a beautiful part of Italy. So I played a season there, and identical situation. The general manager's son is on the team, and he's the worst player on the team. And I remember thinking late in the game, why is this player on the ice? Like, it's easy to see that he doesn't belong at this level. But even at the pro ranks, obviously it is the minor pro, but it's the pro ranks. I'm getting paid to be there, moving my family out there. I got the GM's kid on the ice late in the game trying to scramble out for a win. So that stuff will consistently occur. And you're right. The NHL level, of course, it stops there. People's lives are on the line and their futures. And it, of course, can't make it penetrate up to the top 1% of hockey players in the world. But pretty much everywhere else, it exists.
So you can see how frustrating this is. I mean, parents get pissed. Kids feel awful. Kids don't like unfair. Kids haven't had a chance to deal with a lot of unfair. The younger you are, unfair feels terrible because you're taught by your parents early on, be fair, be polite, all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, this isn't true in the real world. And in running, it was really simple for me. The fastest guy is the guy who gets the gig. There's no favoritism in this. There's no, hey, I'm going to give this guy who runs 3:56 a better deal than a guy who runs 3:40. The 3:40 guy's going to go in. So in the end, it was so pure. But it's also not a coveted sport, right? Like in our country, it is like, hey, I can't wait to be a runner. But hockey, man, everybody wants this. It's like the fame and fortune thing. So you have all this bad behavior, but let me give you some piece about some things for moms and dads and kids going through this. At some point, nobody can hide you. At some point, I don't care if a kid got this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity, it was all bought and paid for. At some point, they can't hide you. You're good enough or you're not. And a guy like that's not going to make it eventually at some point. He's going to hit a wall. And I can tell you, it's hell for the kids. We look at the opportunity, but I can tell you, I know kids who've had the bought and paid for. And the bought and paid for makes them feel pressure, makes them feel like they have to perform. And the worst thing is sitting on a face-off and having people call you daddy's money because they know your dad did this. And it's terrible for your kid. And I got to tell you, it's tempting sometimes because for just a little bit, you can get an advantage. There are teams that are lower level teams where you could get opportunity for giving a coach $500. I've seen it. And the kid gets opportunity, but everybody knows it's like a cancer. And that poor kid, when he finds out that his dad did this, it's like, you didn't believe in me, Dad. So it doesn't end well for the people who get the money. It doesn't end well. It doesn't end well for people whose buddy did this or buddy did that. But I can tell you, in the end, I promise you there's opportunity. There is. And if you get so stuck in this, I'm so pissed off because of politics, then you're allowing yourself to get stuck in focusing on a part of reality that doesn't affect the good stuff. Seriously, it's a subset. I'd say it could be easily 30% of opportunities taken away by this crap. But there's got to be somewhere around 70% opportunity that's just pure. It's just waiting there for you if you can make peace with the corruption and the bad things. But it exists everywhere. This isn't unique to hockey. And I'll tell you later, but I want to hear some more from you, Jeff. There are guys who've made it through, and they're just so damn good, they couldn't be ignored.
And many times, it's not just the money guy getting his kid on the team. It could be the parent coach and his son or daughter is on the team because they played at a high level. Generally speaking, around the youth market, it's people who have played at a fairly high level who get the dad coach or parent coach position. Whether they played up to college hockey or pro hockey, many programs played in the NHL, and it doesn't always mean that the kid will have that type of path. And many times the kid feels pressure if their parent played at a high level and they're supposed to live up to the status of what their parent is. And a handful of times, of course, all over the country, those kids are there and they're not put in the best position. But the dad wants it so bad. Like his whole life or her whole life has been in hockey, and they want their son or daughter to succeed. And so they're getting every start of the period, that player's out there starting the period, and don't think that parents don't notice. The game's done, they're late in the game, their player's out there to try to tie the game, get the big goal, and it does not lead to a great culture. And of course, it leads to many people's evaluation of this is just all political. My son or daughter isn't getting the chance, or we're not getting that opportunity to go prove ourselves. It's very common. And I'm a living example of kind of going through that now that we're on this path. Like my dad and my uncle were the coach of my team growing up. My dad coached me, and I remember on the way to tryouts, he'd have my cousin and I in the car, and he'd be dead serious. You two better be the best players on the ice tonight. And it was like I was dialed in at those tryouts. And for us, we were some of the keys to our team's success. I wasn't just getting the start in the tournament final because I was the coach's kid. I was the one getting the MVP after the tournament for being an all-tournament team because, I kind of lived up to the status that I was given or the opportunity that I was given. Same with my cousin Brian. He was our top goal scorer. It wasn't because he was the coach's nephew or the assistant coach's kid. It was because he had the best ability to put the puck in the back of the net. And so looking back, I realize that stuff now, but I know my dad and uncle had some heat coming from families.
It's so interesting you say that because you're a guy who that story almost doesn't make sense because that feels like a lot of pressure. You better be the best guys on the ice. But you also told me that in your family, there was a lot of love and connection and support and people believed in you. So there was this great balance between pressure and expectation mixed with love, caring, support. And that's the math. And so often parents get so focused on trying to help their kid and give them all this constructive criticism that it becomes too much. And this thing, whether it's money changing hands to try to get an advantage, or the buddy system, or the coach's kids, and all these kind of frustrations, it can eventually end really badly. Just in the last couple of years, I had 4 suicide calls. 4 guys, age 13, age 17, 2 guys in juniors. Brutal, 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 because at some point the pressure just becomes too much, and people can't take it. So it ends really poorly, but I want to go back to this idea that if you are good enough, if you can make peace with the fact that because this NHL dream is so desirable, people want it so badly that they're willing to do anything to get it. If you make peace with that, and you actually look at the fact that there's guys who earn their way, then your son, your daughter has a chance to earn their damn way. And look at this. Dakota Joshua is a great example. Grew up in Dearborn. No silver spoon in his mouth. Doesn't have people looking out for him. This guy had to earn his way, and he's had a heck of a time. You look at Hadley Hudak. Grew up in Canton. He's not living in a mansion somewhere. He's good, strong, regular middle-class America, busted his butt. Nobody's doing him any favors. And he found his way to D1. There's opportunity out there for people who don't have somebody backing them. In the end, I promise you, there is opportunity in this sport, but you got to make peace with the bullshit.
Yeah, and it's the reality of everything. You got to rise up. The cream rises to the top. I just had a goalie I was training this past week ask me, we were talking about the NCAA tournament, and he asked me, how'd you get looks from MSU? And I gave him a straight face. I said, I dominated the USHL. And he was like, oh, no, really? Did they come watch? I said, no. I said, if I was average in the USHL as a 5'5", smallest goalie in the league, if I was average to below average, I would have played D3. Maybe someone would have taken a chance, quote unquote, on me at the D1 level. But I had to dominate. Led the league in wins, led the league in save percentage, led the league in goals against average, had to dominate. And he was like, oh. So we chatted last week about facing reality. That was the reality. And I think back to my initial point on youth, having my parent as a coach, we had that internal confidence because we had past successes that we knew to our core. My dad wasn't being overly harsh or aggressive. It was like, yeah, we know we can be the best players on the ice. Like we had that internal self-confidence. And so that was all just balanced out with the good environment, but we knew we were put in the right position. And we were both offered actually to play up a year as youths. So we knew where we stood. And I think that's a difference where people don't necessarily always understand. Like when you're forcing your kid into a situation, like they don't have that self-confidence because they've never accomplished anything. They don't have that. They never made the big play at the big time to establish any self-confidence. So when you don't get that, of course they're going to feel like a fish out of water. And of course their self-confidence in themselves isn't going to develop. And then to your point, you reference the tragic outcome that, of course, we never want that to occur to anyone, but who knows? It could have been no self-confidence developed and no will to live.
If you allow yourself to just stay in, this sucks, this is unfair, this isn't how I think it should be, daddy coaches, not getting enough time, a buddy here, a sponsor giving this, money changing hands, somebody buying a USHL team, somebody putting on a new wing at a prep school somewhere, it's going to happen. So get pissed, talk to somebody about it, get it off your chest, but find some way to see the opportunity because there's so much opportunity for people who decide, in your words, to just be awesome, to give everything. I think it's so easy to think that if you just show up and just work hard, great things are going to happen. No, really good things are going to happen. But if you want greatness, if you want this stuff that's at the very, very top, it's this tiny group of people at the top. They're the best of the best. And your only chance of getting that is every single thing you have for everything you want.
Yeah, and we went down the path of kind of worst outcomes, but the more frequent flow of kind of the way things can happen on both the boys and girls levels. You kind of mentioned it, the new wing on the academy, or even on the D3 level or the female market or Ivy Leagues where there's this donor to the program and the boy or girl all of a sudden ends up in then college, and it's going to be very common. There's always going to be something. There could be the twin brother that's on the team. The one's a stud. The other one may not be at that level. There's many situations where these things are going to occur. And if you're the outsider looking in, if you're just the straight-laced player who's there for the team, you're evaluating all the different situations that are occurring, that's your time to focus on you. And in this day and age, it's, of course, much more difficult to just focus on you. But we're here to keep beating the drum. That's the only way to continue your path, because they talk about the hockey pyramid. The pyramid is real. It gets smaller and smaller at the top. And we talk about, of course, there could be some slips in the crack that people get by. But if you're that straight-laced, hard work and want to improve, want to find your way to the next level, you got to find a way to stay focused on yourself.
So I think just to really wrap this up and give you something actionable you can take into your life and taking care of your kids and taking care of your own career, Julien Brisebois said it best. The only thing that really truly matters is development and visibility, development and visibility. And development is everything you have for everything you want. It's busting your ass. It's trying to go for your dream with everything you have. And there's no guarantee you're going to make it to the top. But damn it, you die trying every single thing if you truly want this. And if you don't want this, man, take your ball and go home. Go somewhere else. Do something else you have some passion about, because tick tock, your life is going by. 74 average age of death of a male in the United States, 77 as a female. Spend your time in a way that makes you feel alive. But as a summary on here, you can't stop politics. You can join it, but I guarantee your kid's going to be resentful if he finds out you paid somebody. He's just going to be resentful. You didn't believe in me, Mom. You didn't believe in me, Dad. So resist the temptation, because eventually it ends to your kid jumping levels where he's not good enough. He gets outed. He has other people give him a hard time. But if you are kind of the victim of this and you're on a team where there's a dad coach or there's a buddy or somebody has a sponsor who's got some family member getting advantage they shouldn't have, or if it's simply somebody handing an envelope of cash to somebody at Christmas that looks more like a book than an envelope, that happens. Make peace with it. Make peace with the fact that you join this. Life is voluntary. You can go wherever you want. Make peace with that. and go for the what I think is 70% or more opportunity for you to bust your ass, get everything you want, to go for what you want in your life, what you want in your hockey career, and see where that plays out. It's a shame that what we teach our kids when they're young isn't true. It's a shame that do good and good things will happen. It's a shame that be fair isn't true for everyone, but it's reality. And once you know that, I swear to you, there's so much opportunity.
And last message for all the young athletes out there. When you truly want to accomplish something, you will find a way to overcome all this. You may not notice what's taking place at the time. You may not realize that the coach's kid is getting a little bit more time than you. Maybe it's just your parents who realize that. But if you can really just establish what you want to do, where you want to get to, and take care of yourself with doing the extra work and doing the work at home and getting out to the garage and stick handling or doing plyometric jumps in your basement or finding a local track and field and doing stair sprints, I promise that stuff's not going to make you worse. It's just all about how much time you put into really trying to accomplish a goal of yours, and you got to find a way to overcome it. You want to acknowledge it, you want to work through it, but find a way to overcome it. Don't sit there and sulk on it. And that's the only reality that we can keep providing to you. So don't forget to subscribe and follow us. We're on all platforms, and any reviews appreciated as well. That'll wrap it up. Just remember to keep staying dialed and staying driven on all your goals, as that's the only way to get something accomplished in this sport.
Lerg! One of the best saves you will ever see, keeps this game alive.
Chris Palmer again, the Hockey Mentality Podcast, Dialed and Driven.